Hi, everyone, and thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Entrepreneur Escape Pod. I'm your host, Melissa. In today's episode, I talked to Dylan and Matt from the Be Curious YouTube channel. And in this episode, we just get into all different kinds of topics. We talk about YouTube and social media. What are the best ways to grow? Is social media bringing us closer together or more apart? We also talk a lot about AI and technology and even dive into manifesting and mindset work. So this episode was a ton of fun, and I hope you guys enjoy. Hi, everyone. I'm here with Dylan and Matt from Be Curious podcast and YouTube channel. So welcome. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you. When are you going to get on YouTube? You got to join us.
I know. Definitely soon. I hopefully will have the podcast on YouTube soon. I have like most of them filmed, so I should at least for sure put them on YouTube.
Well, I've been following. Yeah, your stuff on TikTok is great. We've been following
thanks.
it. So.
Yeah, I know. I've been kind of in I don't know, a slump with that too. But thanks. I've been thinking about doing more Vegas content too. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Yeah, with our vlog, we're trying to do that too. Like, go because there's so much interesting things to go see, and people love watching.
There really is.
Just the people watching here.
Yeah,
you know?
totally. And like whenever I do Vegas content, it always performs the best. And so I'm just like, well, I feel like I like doing it, and I know a lot of cool places, and people seem to like it.
Well, I feel like you've mastered the thing where you're like, up here, down here, and then you're like this, and like little words pop up on your TikTok, and then it's like a list. That thing, I haven't got that down at all.
Yeah, I don't know. Those ones are sometimes it's like so random. I feel like with Instagram, at least, like the algorithm, I can't predict it because sometimes I'll have videos. I did one where I was just like pointing like this, like things you need for a podcast.
Did you even know what you were gonna put?
I didn't.
Random, was like,
that's what I would do. It's just like, there.
But that one did really well. But then like lately, I don't know. I used to, and usually when it's like a video that's like fast and like very like it's like 5 seconds and it's like trending audio or something, like usually those would do well. But now it's like I don't know.
Same thing.
Now it's not such a sure thing.
I have no grasp on the algorithm. It's like we try and then something pops off, something doesn't.
Sometimes it's just random. We had a dinosaur TikTok just pop off out of nowhere.
Yeah, and then we're like, should we pivot the whole company into dinosaurs? Because we had like one dinosaur video, and people were like, "Tell me more about Stegosaurus." We're like, "We need to look this up."
I know that's like maybe that's like me with the Vegas stuff right now. I'm like, should I just do like travel and hospitality because people seem to like that? I don't know.
That's weird. It feels like the algorithm. Does it feel like the algorithm kind of runs your life? Like I'm getting this sense that I'm always chasing it. I'm like, "What do you want from me? What do you want from me?"
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely like it's hard because it's like I feel like you always are trying to like master it, and then every time like just when I think I've got it figured out,
for sure. I know it's like you said you wanted dinosaurs. I gave you dinosaurs. Now you won't give me any more views. Like why?
Yeah, I know, and it's So, but tell us, I guess, like about your YouTube channel and like what inspired you to start it. Be curious, like. Just not only starting the channel, but like also kind of having it around the idea of like interviewing different people on different kinds of topics.
Yeah. So going way back in time, when I first moved to Las Vegas, I was working with a startup, and we were part of the Downtown Project, which was like like a rebuilding project for downtown. It was like kind of a Zappos thing. And one of the things they asked from us was to provide a return on community. So they invested in our startup, and they were like, but we want to build something a little bit bigger than just companies. We want a community, a culture. And I had done a podcast without any intention to like make money. The goal there was to provide something to our investors that showed that we cared about the community. But from it, I had amazing friendships. I met my girlfriend, and it made Vegas feel like a place worth living in. And then when the pandemic came, and I was so isolated, do you know what I mean? And when that ended and there was an opportunity to kind of start back up again, I just had that craving. Like I was burned out a few years ago, but then I was like, dude, I want to get back into content creation. So yeah, we just started gathering creators. I mean, same way I kind of met you. I just reach out whenever someone's like, I want to do a YouTube channel. I'm like, tell me more, you know?
Yeah.
And then come hang out with us and see if there's some way we can collaborate and build something together. And that resulted first in a podcast. So Be Curious podcast was what we started doing to just learn about whatever books and people we wanted. And then we got a couple of really good editors, and they were doing this kind of like punchy TikTok-y reaction stuff. And then we thought that something like Sniper Wolf or Mr. Beast Reacts might be a good direction to go in. So we started a second YouTube channel, and also we're building like more and more people got involved and all that. And that one didn't actually work super well either. And then we were like, okay, let's do a vlog channel because let's document how this story is going to come together. And then so there was Be Curious Crew, which is kind of like the story of us. And then we were also had this idea to play with really cutting edge AI technology, which is like more my personal passion. And we started experimenting with those, but they didn't feel like they belonged on the other channels because if your audience doesn't know what you're about and you throw too many things at them, they're not going to give that signal to the algorithm that they like you. So it became a little bit messy, but we had to separate the types of content into all these different channels. So there's an AI channel, there's called Curious Crew channel, which is like our vlog. There's a reaction channel, which is like Sniper Wolf. And then there's a podcast, which is more Joe Rogan style. And then because we were producing a lot of good quality stuff, we partnered with a bigger YouTuber to do a podcast he wanted to do. And we filmed that one inside of a sauna each week. It's called Don't Sweat It.
Oh, nice.
And we get like smaller than this table. We fit 3 people. We suction cup DSLRs to the glass. And they have mostly financial conversations. And then also with my girlfriend being a magician, we're kind of like producing stuff for her channel too. So we're in this weird place where
we have many channels.
Yeah, we just do all that stuff. So anyways, that's our story. But
that's good to know because it's funny you mentioned that because I was watching a YouTube video the other day and the person I was watching, I don't know if you've heard of Shelby Church. It was her channel.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I love her.
I love Shelby Church. Yeah.
But she was mentioning that too, where she was saying how with her main channel, she's like doing all these different topics and she says she feels like she's confusing the algorithm and she just says you need to stick to like one thing and
a niche.
Yeah, a niche. And I was thinking about that because I mean, I think about niches a lot, but I was thinking about that like last night in particular because with doing something like starting a YouTube, I'm like, do you think when you're first starting, it's best to just do whatever ideas you have just to like start and make videos and then figure out like what does well and what you like? Or should you like kind of go into it with a niche from the very beginning? What do you think?
$1 million question, man. What's your thoughts? I don't know.
Andre Jake had a suggestion.
What?
When you're starting out, try to find a niche first. And then build upon that.
I guess I would say that's what my gut instinct is leaning towards, although I could very well be wrong on it. The artificial intelligence channel is actually the one getting the most energy right now because it's had the most success. And I think there is something about in the whole world of YouTube, there's clusters of people that do different things. And when it comes to AI, it's like niche enough that I could be a little bit of a bigger fish in a smaller pond. And even though there's a smaller audience, I might be better at connecting with them now when the other genres, I mean, just all the Joe Rogans out there and all of the reaction channels, I thought they would make more sense because they're more general, bigger audience, but also competition just being so high.
Yeah. And
I feel like, and if you look at the story of Amazon, it's like they start with books and then they expand out. And Zappos, you like start with shoes and you expand out. It does feel...
good point. I never thought about that.
It does feel like, and even, Jake Paul and everything, they does seem like they grab something early on, but I don't know, man. I'm not really sure. I think for some people, it definitely works the other way.
Yeah. I think it also... it's funny too because like another girl I interviewed, my friend Chelsea Graber, she does UGC videos, so that's like a lot of TikTok content, and she's been talking lately about like, do you need a niche? And I'm like, man, it's even so different depending on what platform you're talking about. Because like on TikTok, it'd be like, I don't know, do you really need a niche for TikTok? Who knows?
I feel like you don't. That's totally so. And we only have one TikTok, and that TikTok we just give like dinosaur content here, AI content here. Dude, TikTok is just like a bucket of just like, here you go, internet, have more of me, have more of me. Like,
Yeah, well, I saw a little bit of the episode you did with the 2 social media girls, and I remember like you were asking them like, who do you follow on YouTube versus TikTok, and one of them's like, I don't even know who I follow on TikTok because you just go on the For You.
Oh yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, no, I've seen a YouTube video where they run up to people and they're like, name a TikToker, name a YouTuber, and of course YouTubers are way more well known.
Yeah, and it's true because like when I think about TikTok, like I really kind of just gravitate towards that like for like, and it's so funny because I've noticed TikTok too. I don't really lose followers, and I'm like, maybe it's just because people don't even know like they're following you.
They don't know.
Oh, for sure.
Like, where it's like Instagram, it's more like you instantly just like see the feed of the people you follow, and I'm like, there's really like they have a friends tab, but like you go through that pretty quickly if you want. So. But then YouTube, it's like way different where it's like you pretty much like Have you ever like been logged out of your YouTube channel before? Like this happened to me like a few months ago.
Oh, and it's like so different or
yes,
something?
because like I don't know. I think it was like something. I don't know what happened with like my TV or something where I was like the YouTube channel that was like usually on like my Roku we got logged out of, and then you're like on just some, and it was like I was just like I don't even know like what to even look up. I'm just so used to getting recommended videos on what I like, and this doesn't know what I like,
it's
and
like
now
I've
it's
outsourced
like,
my whole brain.
I know.
So it's like with YouTube, it's so different because it's like who you're subscribed to and who you watch. It's like they really get to know you, what you want to see after a while.
Dude, for sure. I know definitely when I'm logged in on Matt's account because I'm like, oh
totally
God,
different.
you know, like nobody wants to see this in my house.
Yeah. Not PG stuff.
But then I guess it makes sense with the niche thing because it's like that's how they know what to recommend to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, because like this is the first time I've ever like grown facial hair, so I just looked up on YouTube like how do I get a rate like or
You've
like
grown facial hair, but you shave it off.
Yeah, right. Sorry.
Yeah. This is the first time
I
he's grown facial hair.
didn't just mature into a man.
You just hit puberty.
But I finally stopped. Anyways, point is, I looked at a razor, and now like there's this barber, and he's showing up on my For You page, and I'm like, now I'm like into it though, which is weird because I'm like he's like this is how I shave cornrows, and I'm like what like is that like and I don't know why I'm into it because I have no need for his channel anymore, but. No, man, I'll just watch whatever people throw in front of me. It's dangerous.
I know. I can see how it's addicting. Well, I mean, do you have any maybe insight into that as someone who like knows more about AI as to like, are they just like they learn what you like and they like, is that really just it's that simple? Or is like sometimes people, I feel like sometimes too when we talk about like social media and like the effects on people's like mental health, I'm like, is any of that like, is it just that they just know you so well? I could see how maybe when you're like designing something to be like optimized to just like keep people interested, like maybe there's like, is it all just unintended consequences, do you think?
Well, I know that I got this idea in my head that as humans, like from an anthropological point of view, it's like we can grow up and nurture versus nature kind of takes different parts of our personality, but eventually you can fit into all of these societies, any language you want. So we're just really adaptable, I think. And if like your three best friends are just like, now I'm into this show, I feel like you just have the ability to be into it also. It's not like I'm so stuck on what I want out of content or life. So yeah, I think we just can merge in and out of things really easy. And then on top of it, the algorithms, I think of it as clusters. Like if you have like a box, there's little dots everywhere, and there's like groups of people that just kind of gravitate towards this topic or this person or for whatever reason, these different things. And then there's groups of users that have these patterns and they're additional dots, and they're just like little magnets like pulling around. But sometimes you just jump to one spot and it just sucks you to a new thing and jumps to a new one and it sucks you there. And then your brain's like, now I'm like this, I guess,
Yeah.
But it's just, the whole thing is just so hard to predict. I have no insight in how to successfully navigate it. That's what we're trying to do. And got a long way to go.
Well, another question I had too is like with things like social media and YouTube, do you think it is kind of like bringing people closer together, or is it like isolating us more? Because I kind of feel like in a weird way, I do think it's, I mean, like you were just saying with starting your podcast, how it led you to like meeting more people, and like I kind of feel that way too. I'm like, I do kind of feel like it brings people together, but I know a lot of people maybe feel like it doesn't. So I don't know. I just wanted to hear like what your thoughts were.
Probably not. Probably does the opposite.
Yeah, probably. I think the answer is no. It doesn't bring us together, generally speaking. But if you are a content creator, like I know your audience sometimes is into you because you're teaching them how to do what we're doing here, which is getting together and like having a conversation. So obviously for the people who do podcasts, I think it's an incredible networking tool. It's a great way to meet people. It hones in conversations in a way that like if we just got lunch and you didn't have like questions prepared and the cameras weren't on, that we might not have. So I think it's great for people who want to produce. But yeah, for the viewer, I think
for the followers, probably not.
I think they're just getting more isolated on average. But certainly there's some community. Like we did a podcast on the VTuber community, and I was like, I was like, okay, there's sort of something here. These are like, they're anonymous faces and they have characters that connect. But yeah, they do build a certain community. I just don't know how healthy it is.
Yeah.
In the long run.
Do you think it's more just because like people are like isolated and alone on devices and that's why, or is it kind of like one of those things where it's like with social media, like at first everyone's like, oh, this is great because you could be in touch with people that ordinarily you wouldn't be. But
have you heard the term parasocial relationship?
It sounds familiar, but I can't really like define it. So
yeah, that's where I think, like, to me, that's why it doesn't work for most people, because a parasocial relationship is like a real relationship, but yeah, the one like you're looking at the like when I talk to the camera on the AI channel, one of the things I've learned to do is not say, "Hey guys," to hello, like it's like one person, because it is just probably one person, and they're having a relationship with me, but I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And when you're famous, and you're talking to your camera, like it's you and a friend. It's parasocial because it's social, but like there's a wall from the one half, and then the other person is having a feeling towards you that you don't have back to them. You have no sense of them because there's a million of them, and they're watching them asynchronously.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've definitely heard of that experience. Or like I could kind of like in some ways relate to it, but not nowhere close to like a scale of someone like Joe Rogan. But like I've heard him talk about that on his podcast. Like one of the weirdest things about being famous is like, especially when you're doing something like a podcast where people essentially are like sitting in on a conversation you have. He's like, people come up to you like and feel like they know you and you don't know who they are at all. And it's like, that must be a really weird feeling, I can imagine, to like, yeah,
exactly.
like people know so much about you and you don't know anything about them.
Yep.
yeah. So, yeah, that's like I can see in that way. It's not I sometimes feel like too, maybe people are a little bit like, I don't know, delusional, like in the sense of like
that's true.
They're like really
delusional.
Well, I don't want to say it in like a mean way where it's like they feel like they have like more of a connection to someone than they really do in a sense. And so it's like, I don't mean it like delusional, like crazy. It's just like they feel something that's like, oh, that's not like at the end of the day.
Joe Rogan's their friend.
Yeah, like you don't really know this person at the end of the day.
No, man, these characters become so real, like the way we talk about movies and stuff that we watch, superheroes, it's like, feels like Spider-Man exists, but it's just like IP Disney owns, you just forget.
Yeah.
Do you think that's maybe part of it? Like, the technology's getting so good, it's like tricking our brains to this point where it's like that maybe like in the past with things like books and stuff we just didn't have.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, good point. Thoughts? I mean, in terms of books, it's like the author's thoughts.
Yeah.
But you see the person talking if it's like social media. So you kind of have a false sense of relationship with the person rather than books.
Yeah. And you have so many more hours of them like communicating too, whereas if it was maybe in the past, like the 90s, it's like if it was like a fake character, it's like even a character that you feel like there's only so much content of them.
Exactly.
So after like 15 minutes or 20 minutes on YouTube, I sometimes get this like anger, like I'm like, oh, it got me, like I'll notice like,
you got angry?
Yeah, well, like if Dylan version of angry, I'm like,
which is not angry at all. He never gets angry.
I think
he's too happy.
I just think to myself like, I should be a content creator, not a consumer. Like, I don't know what it is about me. I just feel like victimized when I get lost in YouTube too much, Here I am. They got me, And then it's like, okay. But then I just think to myself, like, there's just only so much hours in my day that I can spend. And I don't want to, I don't know. I just want to be on my deathbed when I'm older and just be like, you did things in life. Like, you tried things, you learned from things, you got real sensory feedback, and I didn't just absorb. However, when I do absorb information, I am trying to make a point. So I have an Audible. I keep Audible, like my long form book app, on my first page of my phone. I always try to go there before I go to YouTube and other sources, because I can put on a long conversation. Like some human had to write a whole book. They narrated the whole book. It gets in deep about whatever the topic is, and I can put the headphones in and like do my chores or drive somewhere. And I just feel like that is a better use. It doesn't glue me to the screen, and it doesn't jump my mind around as much. It helps me like get into something. So but I have to fight it. Like I make a point. I have to move my like YouTube and TikTok app to the back of the phone, and I try not to do it. And I try to actively notice, like meditation style, like take a breath, notice that you're watching YouTube, go to your Audible app, turn it on, don't look at your phone, and go walk somewhere or do something or go create,
Yeah, that's a good idea. I've had to do that with Twitter before, like move it to the back, because I'm like, that phrase like doom scrolling.
Yeah. Oh, doom scrolling.
What is that? I never heard about that.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm like describing.
Sounds terrifying.
Yeah, bro. You just keep going down, and then
I feel like
blows up.
I feel like it's
overheats the battery.
It must be made with Twitter in mind, because I feel like it's the content on Twitter is so much more like, I don't know how to put it, like just
doom,
like just like
it like sucks you in.
Well, and I think maybe it's who you follow, but I feel like it's you follow different platforms for different reasons. And Twitter, it's like very consumed in like, I don't know, like politics
like
in the world and like everything. So it's like you're just hearing everyone's opinions about like what's going on in the world, and like I could see how it like
like opinions never end, and they're all like controversial.
And then there's like there's arguments with people, and I don't know. So it's like someone will say something maybe somewhat controversial, and then if you go to the comments, there's like people being like, you're an idiot, other people like, yeah, you're so right, and you're just like, what's reality here? Like, where's the truth? Is it somewhere in the middle? I don't know.
I've been thinking about that too. So I who knows if this is gonna work or not. Our channel is still super small, but on the vlog channel, the Be Curious Crew channel, we are gonna have we have a playlist where we just take the best comments. And then we film a video and we're like, hey, thank you to this user for writing this comment. And then we'll click on their link. And if it's good content, then we'll shout them out or whatever. Because I think early on, if we do succeed, we'll benefit massively from reinforcing, because people, they troll because they want like some attention, like they want to be like written to or talked about. But if we give the attention purposely to good people, hopefully that will like snowball. Do you know what I mean? People be like, oh, I like to comment on like the Be Curious channels because they respond and they give me the attention I want, and I listen to them, and if they suggest content, we make it. So they're part of like the in crowd on our, if they like us, then they're part of our in crowd because they're contributing in a positive way, you know? And of course there's always troll comments, but they're just we're not gonna focus on them and feature them in the same way.
We're not going to reply back either.
Yeah.
You're
stupid.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Let me debunk you, you know, like.
Oh yeah, gosh.
But we do support the people. So so we trended on Dino TikTok, and then
which is the craziest thing, by the way.
I know. We're like not dinosaur experts, but anyways, but there's one guy who started like defending, like people were like, dinosaurs aren't real, and like dinosaurs are like employed by the government to get our money or whatever. Like, and then this other guy who we didn't know, he was another commenter, he started like replying with like facts, and then there's a whole thing going on. But we just wanted to feature the guy that was defending us. So we were like, thank you for defending us, and like you're the best, but we didn't want to feature all the negative ones.
Exactly.
The haters.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're starting early on, we think that's a strategy that might lead to a better community in the long run if it does grow.
Yeah, totally.
When it grows, I'm trying to manifest things. Sorry. Everyone's getting after me. Yeah.
Oh, for manifesting.
Yeah, for
nice.
not. Like, yeah, they're like, because I'm like, if. They're like, not if, when. Okay, when.
It's like maybe.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you think you'll maybe do like a manifesting episode sometime soon? Or
well, now that I got
we've
my
done
beard,
that before.
I got my beard, I can do anything. I have more confidence. Yeah, we'll manifest it.
Yeah, for sure.
You believe in that? You've manifested. Did you manifest this here?
I don't know. Well, okay. I actually just did a course, like a manifesting and mindset course. It was like an online course, but I was like interested in it, and I still. I don't want to say I have like mixed feelings on it, but it's like I do think it works, and I've heard
she believes in it, bro.
Okay, well,
I believe in it too.
I mean, in a sense, like I'm in
her side now.
Well, okay, I heard actually like Andrew, what's his name, Huberman?
Yeah.
Say something kind of.
Come on, man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you got her canceled.
I'm sorry.
You're
Cut
canceled.
that out.
Huberman.
Just kidding.
The scientist, Stanford.
He said something that and this is where I think it works, where he says like, you know, like cognitive behavioral therapy, like CBT. I listened to like an audiobook on that too, and a lot of that was like,
me too.
And I'm like, that does kind of sound similar to manifesting. And he was saying basically he's not like super woo into it, but he says like he does think it has those similar qualities of like CBT. So I do think there's some truth to that, and I know some people who have like really believed that like you're, you know, what you think is the outcome, and I don't know. I think sometimes it can get a little too like supernatural in a way where it's like,
it's all in the definition,
you know,
of it.
It's like, okay, I don't think it's like necessarily, because I used to be kind of like superstitious in the way where it's like, if you think something bad's going to happen, it's going to happen. But I don't really believe that anymore. I think that is just like a superstition where it's like, but like, I do think like, okay, if you are manifesting, and a lot of manifesting too, it's like journaling. And like from the manifestation course, one of the things I liked that they were like, oh, just every morning go through like what an ideal day is for you. And it's like, I think it's just like a good way of like putting that in the front, like in the forefront. And like, instead of just like waking up and like going through the motions and like being pulled in all these different directions and something happens, you're upset. If you're like more conscious about like, this is what I want.
I totally
and
agree.
I'm like, I could see how that's like effective, and it works in that sense, in the fact that you're probably like you're thinking about your goals more, and you're probably more motivated to like work on things and that sort of stuff.
Sure. Yeah, I remember like the first month after I met my girlfriend, we were still kind of like, feeling each other out and learning about each other. And we walked down the street and there was a penny on the ground and she went to pick it up. And I was like, oh my, she's probably like superstitious, like wants like heads up or tails up. But she flipped the coin from tails to heads because she's like, oh, I want the next person to feel lucky when they pick it up, And I was like, oh,
what?
yeah.
Well, you told me this story.
No, I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those things. And it's like, because I like broke my brain and I was like, oh, instead of playing into a penny being good luck or bad luck, let's just step out of that whole mindset and just like, for people who do believe that, just flip the coin for that. It just makes their lives better because they live in this box where that matters. And I was like, okay, so I just want to step out of whether manifest or not manifest. I'm just like, just step out, realize like why people do it. And then, the neuroscience of it would be to train your brain to be more positive, to have more confidence, totally real ways to think about the brain. But just the word manifest depends on who I'm talking to.
Yeah. And I think it can mean like a lot of different things, but I do think it's like important for people to feel like they have, and I don't mean this in like I do think it's important for people to feel like they have like agency and no, I mean, I guess I do.
Oh, you do believe in fate?
I mean, I don't know.
But you like agency.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
Which
like, have you read the like Sam Harris free will thing? Like, I read it, I listened to it on an audiobook, and like I see the point of it. Okay, so I listened to it a while ago, so I don't know if I could articulate it like totally well, but essentially he was talking about free will and how essentially like almost nothing's your choice. It's all like your destiny is just like laid out for you. And even if you make a decision, it's like you were predetermined to make that decision.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I see why, I guess you can't really totally argue against it because it's like everything you make, every decision you make, you were destined to make. There's no way to prove that that's otherwise. But I don't know if I feel like there's something about that that's a little too like, I don't know, depressing to me. Like, it's like kind of just like, okay, so then like, why bother? Like, why do anything? Like, and whereas like, I feel like manifesting it's more like the feeling it gives you, like, I can do it, and so I do think that's like an important thing for people to feel, I guess.
Yeah. Like, did you manifest me into your life? Or?
It was the other way around.
I manifested you? But only I would know that.
I don't know, man. So I was working in a coffee shop, right? And this guy comes to me. He's like, "Hey, you want a job?"
I found Matt at a coffee shop.
Nice.
He did. Yeah, he just picked me up.
I was like, dude, this guy makes
about 30 minutes ago.
This guy makes like great smoothies. Like, I got to go do a podcast. You want to come? He's
Yeah.
like, yeah. I was like,
That's pretty much what happened, actually.
I don't know. So, I mean, maybe it was like how we met. It was kind of weird and not like fate in a sense. Cause like when we met at
45?
Yeah. But in the Summerlin location, which like I almost never goes to, but I remember I went then because I usually would work out in the morning.
So much more healthy back then.
At downtown, at the downtown location. But then that day, the old place I used to work, the office was like close to the Summerlin location, and I couldn't work out in the morning for whatever reason. So I was like, I'll just go to the Summerlin location after
and you could
work.
have never predicted. Dude, she is like so sweaty. I'm so sweaty. We just did like 45 minutes of like
and we were like partnered together, and so it's like kind of fate in a way because it's like I never even really go to that location, and so it's like just random chance, you know?
And it's like, great workout. What do you do? Oh, podcast. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Like just started that convo.
Do you believe in the mystical side of manifesting, like The Secret type stuff?
Matt's a magician, by the way. So he works at he worked at a magic shop
tricks,
before I found
not
him.
Real magic.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm not so much of a person that's like nothing supernatural is real. I'm not like so much like if you can't prove it to me, I don't believe it. But I don't know. Maybe I'm open to it, I guess.
I see.
Yeah.
I believe it,
I believe it more like, have you ever read the book Compound Effect?
No, I haven't.
It's how small little habits compound over time. And
like
maybe that's how I think about manifesting. If every day you write in a journal, you give positive feedback to your mind, that in turn it creates good positive actions in your life.
Yeah.
You know?
I believe that for sure. So
Yeah, well, whatever Matt has, he has this attitude where like even when things are kind of going down, he's just lighthearted and makes jokes, and I look at that and I'm like, dude, I want that because
It's
I
all
can
jokes.
I think I'm at my best when I'm like well slept and ate healthy, but I have all these little things I feel like need to be in place before I am myself. I feel like Matt at least shows up with like a good energy no matter what the situation is, and that's a resilience that I envy. Do you have that kind of a thing?
I don't know. Maybe I feel like I'm not like I'm maybe somewhere in the middle. I try and be somewhat optimistic. I don't think I'm like super like down or like I don't know how to say like I don't know if nihilistic's the right word, but I've known some people where it's like they're very like I don't know. It's like I think it's kind of like the opposite of feeling like you have agency in a way where you're just like this
Oh
sucks
yeah.
and that sucks and like
That's nihilism.
and
Isn't that
yeah, I
nihilism?
don't
Like where
know.
you kind of like life
Well,
just exists
I
and I'm
know like
just along
too.
for the ride.
Yeah, or it's like I know too. Like even during COVID, it was hard because people would be like, the way the world is so like effed up, and like I just
Oh.
want like society to be back to normal and stuff. And it's really
Yeah.
like it's hard to be like, yeah. So like we just gotta like keep wait for things to get better or something. Like
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
tricky.
And I feel like maybe it's like I don't know if it's like an asset sometimes with me where it's like I could be very like chill in a sense where it's like, well, like I'll just do what I can do and see what happens. Cause then it's like, well, what if you're like, what if that's just like people could oppress you because you're just like, well, I'll just see what I can do. But then, so I don't know if it's
Yeah.
necessarily a positive quality, but sometimes I think it could be, sometimes it's not so bad in the sense because like I feel like
Makes
I'm
sense.
more like if something's going wrong, like what can I do? Because I just feel like I can't change like things outside me. I don't know if that's like a good quality or bad
No,
quality.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you don't believe in free will?
I don't know. I don't think I really believe in it. I don't know. It's hard to say whether or not I believe in it, but I don't know. I listened to the book. It's like one podcast I was listening to. The girl who hosts it was like, you got to listen to this book. And she's like, she took comfort in it. I think from the perspective of like, when I make a mistake, I could realize like,
It's not really
it was
your...
destined. Like
yeah.
I was going to make that mistake no
Hmm.
matter what. But for me, it's just like, I don't know. I didn't really like, it wasn't super motivating for me. Like that idea. I don't know. I don't know whether or not I believe in it. I guess it's, in the sense that like we could choose our own destiny. I don't know. I mean, to a certain extent, I think that's true, but I don't think like everything's in our control. So
That's definitely true. Yeah.
yeah.
If a tornado comes to your house,
Who?
you're like, it's not in your control.
So,
Yeah.
bro, the Terminator comes to your house?
Yeah, dude.
Well, I mean, or just things like if you got like a
Dude, I think
like a
about that all the
disease
time
or
for no
something,
reason.
it's
I'm
like
Really?
I don't know. It's just like, or
Really?
you could be born a certain way, or like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like that's not like something you chose, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how you were raised and your biology.
for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. So I feel like
Yeah.
it's like not everything is your choice. I feel like maybe you're given circumstances that aren't your choice, and then it's like, but you can, I guess, choose how to react in those
That's a good
circumstances.
point.
I don't know.
A quick topic change. Do you know
Yeah.
who your audience is? Like, have you nailed down like what
That's
they
a good
want from you?
question.
No, not really. I don't think
Okay.
it's like, it's hard to say because I don't feel like it's really big enough yet. And so
Oh, yeah, okay.
it's like,
yeah, me too. 'Cause you're
Yeah.
like if they're half your friends, you're like
yeah.
they just like me from you.
Yeah, and I also kind of feel like with podcasts, I don't really know that much about them other than like kind of where they live and how old they are and like what device they listen to it on. And so, and with things like Instagram, really, where it's like that's probably where I have like the biggest audience, I guess. It's very like I don't know if I really have an audience as much as I just have like people who react to like certain pieces of content.
Did you get invited to
That's
that little
cool.
program? Like, are you making money on
No,
Instagram now?
I wasn't. No, I don't make money on it. But
Oh.
I know someone who
Yeah, I
did
know
sign
someone
up
who
for
did
it,
too, and I'm like,
and
oh.
she said she didn't really like it.
Oh, okay.
So what? Did you have someone say something else?
No, I was
Yeah.
just like, please let me have some money from this platform, but it didn't happen. I felt like they have to choose you. Like you sign up and then you also have to be chosen. And I
Yeah,
was like,
I didn't really even look into it. So it's like I don't know
okay.
yet. But I don't know. I know one person who was on it and she didn't really like it. And she felt like I don't know if this is true or not either, because I guess like they pay you for a certain number depending on how many views you get.
yeah.
And she was feeling like that they intentionally like weren't showing her
Oh, right.
content.
Like they control it. They're like,
Yeah.
here, we'll pay you on the
Which
views.
like
but then-
would kind of make sense because it's like,
I
if they
know,
don't want
so
to
much
pay you, they
control.
could just like, we don't want to pay this person. Like, let's not recommend this as much or something.
You're shadow
right,
banned.
they're pushing our
Yeah.
shadow ban.
But I mean, who knows? Like, or not? I don't know if they would do it so individually, but maybe it's just like everyone in the creator fund. It's like, we're kind of low on money this week. Let's
It's like we got some debt to pay that from here.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's really true or not, but like,
No,
I don't know.
it's so hard.
Could be.
We'll never know, man. It's
Yeah.
why it's a big guessing game on our end of it, our end of the algorithm. It's tough, man.
Yeah, I know. It's always, I feel like building the audience, like the hardest part. I feel like it's maybe easier, but I don't know. I wonder if it's easier to transition into
So do
something
you see
new.
yourself as sharing the content that's your story? Like you're like, okay, I want to make it on social media, so I'll just share with these cameras and this audience my journey. Is it more like vloggy?
No,
kind of?
I don't think. I'm actually kind of. That's like one of the things I feel like I struggle with in some ways too. Because like I don't really want people. Like I still want to be kind of like private in a way. But I just really like content, and I like podcasts a lot. And I wanted to do a podcast mostly because I like listen to podcasts all the time, and I same kind of thing. Like I wanted to like meet other people, and I'm like,
I totally get that.
I've always wanted.
Totally get
I'm like,
that.
I feel like I could interview people in a good way, and like I just felt like it was something that interested me, and I wanted to do it. And then I felt like online entrepreneurship was another thing that interested me. I'm like, I know of people who kind of do that, so maybe I'll just center it on that. And then, but now too, I kind of feel like I want to like even widen that and like interview different types of people. And sometimes I'm even like, should I maybe like make it not so focused on one thing? But then it's like goes back to that niche thing. So it's
the
like
cycle.
It's all full
The
circle.
We're
The cycle,
screwed.
yeah.
I
I don't know.
know.
And then with Instagram, it's like,
That's
yeah,
right.
I guess like building an audience. I don't know. And I like creating videos a lot too. So
Yeah.
the ones I like the most kind of too are more like the Vegas ones because there's more like to film and everything. But I don't know.
I mean, that's a great, we did with the Sauna
Mm.
podcast, we interviewed Norma Jelly. She's
yeah,
got,
and I love her stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, it's so cool. And now she's even getting into like where she's doing more skits to make them more funny. But yeah, there's real money there. We live in a city that people are interested in. If you want to go that route,
Yeah.
it might
the only
fulfill
thing-
you and also be profitable.
Yeah, I thought maybe I should broaden it a little bit to be more like different. I don't know, more like hospitality, just in case like if I ever like moved out of Vegas or
Yeah,
something.
I
that's
think
like,
but she does that too, and it works fine. Like she's
Yeah.
been to like, now I'm in Austin doing something, and they're
Exactly.
like,
For
okay.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I did one video on like the rooftop bars in Vegas, and like got shared like a ton, and I'm like, yeah,
Oh.
I think that's like just. But it makes sense. And also too, I was reading about like, you know how TikTok is getting more into search, and I was like reading all about that. And
No, what's that? You
well,
should
they
tell us
what is
actually.
that?
Yeah.
well, I've just read a little bit about it where it's like they want to focus on like search and being a good like a place where people could search for
Okay.
things, and
'Cause
like
now they're starting to go
Oh,
after
like
other-
YouTube.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
yeah.
they
Okay.
also like, I guess too, this is so I've learned this as well, like you have to like, which like makes it takes so much more time to edit, is like doing all the texts like inside the app, because the app like scans the text on your video
Oh,
for
geez,
like
yeah.
and your hashtags and all that stuff to kind of get an idea of like what the video is about, so that it can be recommended in search and all that. But the things that people search for the most is like food, restaurants, bars, like travel, like, and which makes sense because it's like if like let's say you're going to Vegas on vacation, like, and you're, especially if you're like younger and more like into Instagram, it's like,
Mhm.
are you gonna Google search like best bars in Vegas, or like
Probably
would
not.
you TikTok, or it's like if you TikTok like bars in Las Vegas or best
Yeah,
bars.
That's true. Like what
It's
to
like
do.
now you could actually see what it looks like, what the drinks look like what you get, like a way
point.
bigger like picture of what it's actually like, So it's like I feel like that kind of makes sense
Yeah,
because
maybe we should think about that more.
yeah, because
It's a good tip.
yeah, or like so I think that makes sense, that and it's I could kind of see it too with like TikTok and Instagram, like people sharing it. It's like that's got to be why they share it, because they're probably like like, hey, like let's check this place out when we go there or something like that with their friends.
Yeah, totally makes
So,
sense. They just hold it up and they're like,
yeah.
hey, look at this drink. We'll go check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
every time I came to Vegas before I lived here, it was just like, yeah, we just went with the flow, something that catches our eye. Like now it's TikTok that
Yeah,
helps guide them through it. Yeah.
And also too, it's like
Makes sense.
in a very like full circle kind of way. I feel like people go to places to take like good
Yeah,
Instagram
for
shots.
Sure,
For their social
Yeah.
media.
Sure.
Well, because like
Exactly.
I have a friend who works at the bar at Meow Wolf at Area 15, and she was saying there's like this one drink
So
there.
we just were, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
She
we were
says,
just
We just
there.
came from Area 15.
Oh,
yeah.
nice. She said, which is like really fun for anyone listening. You should totally go. But she says there's this one drink there that's like very smoky and like it looks really
Oh.
cool. Or like no, it's a bubble. Sorry, I forgot. It's like
Mhm.
they make this bubble and it's like kind of filled with smoke.
At the main bar? We gotta
yeah,
try that.
Yeah.
How do they do that?
I don't know how they do it. I don't know how. It's a secret, I guess. But it's funny because she says like the drink is kind of made with mezcal, which like I really like, but is a very like specific taste. Like
Oh.
not everyone's like a
I
mezcal
don't know.
fan.
You
It's-
know what that means?
What is that?
Oh, yeah, I'm
it's like it's kind of similar to tequila. I've heard it's like,
Oh, it's a
but
type of liquor?
yeah,
Gotcha.
it's like made from agave, but it's like more.
What's
it's-
agave?
See,
agave.
she's definitely good for this kind of topic. 'cause
I think
feel like
so.
Yeah.
because you can explain all this to people like us, and we'll be like, "Oh man, we got to try agave. It's blank, blank, blank." And
Exactly.
Well, so
whatever.
like tequila, agave is just like agave. It's like honey, kind of. They use so it's like a sweetener. Well, they use it as a sweetener, but like tequila.
So it's like honey.
yeah. Well,
Okay, I can start there.
We
tequila-
love honey.
Bees make honey. Yeah,
Well,
we got that. Yeah.
tequila's made from agave, and like mezcal's made from agave, so it's like similar in that sense, but it's different in how they process it. And so like mezcal's like more smoky. I've heard it's kind of described as like a whiskey type of tequila, like a.
Ooh.
And so it's like it's an acquired taste. And like I you can make it in a cocktail like and it tastes so good, but like I've had a couple times where it's like I've had it in cocktails where it's like they just don't mix it with the right stuff, and it's like you just start like whoa, it's like it kind of can make you be like like you know when you take like a
Yeah.
sip of like a drink and you're just like whoa, like what's
Just
that,
like
you know?
burning my mouth up.
So
yeah.
it's like anyway, so like the drink's made with mezcal. She's like, yeah, it's so funny because like everyone wants to order the drink because they see it on TikTok and they like want to see the bubble, but it's like they don't always know what the liquor is going to taste like, and then they drink it and they're like, oh, I don't really like this.
So
or
just like, I
something.
got my photo. I'm done now. Have you heard the phone eats first? That's what we always say when the
Yeah.
food comes. They're like, phone eats first. Nobody touch it.
I
Such a
know.
cringy thing to say, but he says it all the time.
Why? It's not cringy.
Every single
I don't
time.
cringe.
I
Oh,
totally
you
do that.
Oh, cringy
so-
isn't when you cringe. That's when others.
Exactly.
I know. And
Yeah,
then like
it's cringy.
I know. I always do like I always film my food a lot of times too, and like sometimes you could see people like looking at. I'm like, yeah, I know it's like the nerdiest thing ever, but it's like I got to do it, you know.
No worries. For the socials. We
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah. Or like it's funny. I was doing a project with someone where I'm like I do like walking tours of Vegas. Like it's kind of like content for someone else's YouTube
Oh,
channel,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I like film it for them. And like one was like walking tours of Vegas, and one was like I just did a video for them with Resorts World, and I like used
so you had to like hold the phone and walk down
well,
the
I used a
strip and do the
gimbal.
people. Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
and so it's like it's
oh,
kind of
that
funny.
would be nerve wracking for me.
The walking down the strip one was fine because it was like
But when people see you, don't they like turn away and stuff?
not
Or-
really. Most
Now
a
they're
couple
used to
people,
it.
a
Not in
couple
the strip.
Yeah.
yeah,
okay.
like most people ignored me, I would say, and then like some people were like, "Oh, like that's a like what is that? Like I want that," or like so they'd be like, "That's a good
You want
idea."
this?
Or the gimbal, they're like, "Good idea." Like most people actually, if they do say something, it's like pretty positive. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, like this is a good idea." Like the
see.
gimbal, and one person was just like, "Oh, like are you making a video for YouTube?" And people will say that kind of stuff, but
Let
and
me
I
do
did
that.
one inside a casino, and that one was like a little more nerve wracking because like I wanted to get the experience of like walking around and like walking in restaurants, and like that was like sometimes people
Was
would
it?
look and no one says anything.
It seems
but
like they're
it's
getting more used to it. Yeah.
yeah, I
which
mean, I
blows
feel
my
like
mind.
people probably just like don't care. And even it's funny because I was like walking through the casino floor, and like one of the people who work at the casino was looking at me, and I was actually nervous of someone working there being like, you can't film on the casino floor or
Mm.
anything, but no one said anything.
You
Then-
definitely can.
yeah, you
Yeah,
can. You
it's
can.
crazy.
You just can't
I
film
don't
like
think
table
it was
games.
like that, but yeah, I don't know how
Well,
it changed.
I've played craps before. Like I know there's rules against like having cameras
Oh,
out for
yeah,
table
for
games.
gambling and cards. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard like oh yeah, I was like watching. I don't know if you've heard of Pomsey too, like another
of
Vegas
course, yeah,
YouTuber.
yeah.
He was like, I was like watching one of his live streams. He was gonna play craps, and I said something. He's like, I can only film at the video game craps, which I'm like, oh right, because like I think it's like any table games
Yeah.
they ban any kind of filming or like even being on your phone, like if you're texting, because like they don't know if you're not filming, and that there's like
Right.
rules against that. So, but I think for slot machines and stuff,
Dude, that's
it-
crazy. So, did
it's
you
funny.
see Pomsey, or are you friends
No,
with
no,
him?
no.
Have
I
you
just
gone-
commented on his like
Oh, in
video.
his feed. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, I've never met him, but I
I
watch
know,
his videos.
Because I was like, yeah, if you were friends with him, he could
Yeah.
probably just kind of teach you the
No,
ropes
I saw
or
Norma
something.
once
Mhm.
out at Berlin, and I was gonna say hi, but like I was like leaving as she walked in. But I was like, oh, everyone's leaving, and so I'm like, I want to
Lauren was
go
great.
now. So it's like,
Yeah.
but I was like,
Yeah.
oh no, I saw her. I was like, oh, that's so
That's
cool.
great. Yeah, we were in Disneyland a little while ago, and my uncle was like, "You're on this guy's feed," and we just like walked by. He's like, "Where are you located?" Like, walk by him.
Wait, seriously? Your
I
uncle
guess
saw
so.
you just some random person's
Yeah,
feed?
well, he was like, there's this guy, I forgot his name, but some guy who does the same thing Pomsey does here in Vegas, but it's just like he just walks Disneyland like every day. I think that's
shows
his,
you
I think that's his
Disneyland.
job. I think he just
That's his job.
walks around and makes money on YouTube. Yeah, and then so my uncle was like coordinating. He's like, he's over by the Pirates of the Caribbean, like, and I was like, I don't want to walk all the way over there just to be in this guy's feed. But he's like, but I'm watching it, and I can wave at you and
That's
comment. I'm like, oh,
hilarious.
fine,
Yeah.
You did it?
No, not really.
Okay.
But
I
like,
was gonna
I-
say, don't waste your time, dude.
Oh man, I know. Sometimes like the only thing I do kind of worry about is like, what if there's someone who like really doesn't want to be filmed, and like, or if you get something like
dude, for sure,
random,
how
or,
many
like
people are just
especially
like, what
in
is,
Vegas.
who's that? Is that my husband? Why is he in Vegas?
Yeah, I
Like,
know. It's like, who's that girl you're with? and like, it's like you never know. Like someone's wife could put on like walking tours of Vegas.
dude, you never know, man.
Randomly.
100%.
Well, think about how many photos we're all in the background of. And like one day
Yeah.
artificial intelligence will just like go to Google search and they'll spot all of our faces and pair up our profile and they'll be like, I know where you've been your whole life. Like it's crazy to think
I
about.
know. That's like I always think too. It's like a funny sci-fi thing. I was like, oh man, this would be like a cool thing where it's like a sci-fi where it's
Oh.
like a like, oh, okay, God, there was this one thing I heard about where it's like there was like, okay, an actor got like in a controversy and they literally like edited him out of the movie and put like a whole new actor in. And I'm like, what if like this gets to the point where it's like you're in a movie, it
Dude,
came
think about
out
this stuff all the time.
and like you're something happened, you have some controversy, and they just like deep fake someone's like head over your
That's
face.
that's
no,
all
no
wrong.
more. There's already like
We've done that.
we're like 3 years away
Many
from it.
times.
Like,
Yeah.
don't worry.
So
Yeah.
it just made me think like, what if you
No, Matt was actually a different actor. So we just deep faked his face.
Yeah.
I'm a different person.
Yeah. Well, it made me think like, what if like in the future where there's so much footage of us, like you're like, let's say you're a famous actor and you get in, let's say maybe like you go against some kind of controversy, you get in controversy or like you go against your agents and like, then they're just like, we're just done with you. We're just going to have like avatar you
Dude,
and things.
for sure.
And like even
For
doing interviews
sure.
and like the
Oh, yeah.
audience wouldn't even know.
No, they were
It's
like,
They wouldn't.
yeah, even with like the Johnny Depp case, he was like, I broke my relationship off with Disney, but obviously Pirates of the Caribbean photos of me are all over Disneyland and all over the theaters and like, but it's kind of like they own the Pirates of the Caribbean version of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, yeah, and now technology really is there. Like they could easily film another Pirates of the Caribbean with an actor that looked like him and just
Yeah.
deep
Yeah,
fake it.
without a
You know what I
doubt.
mean? And maybe I don't know where the line is, but maybe they own the rights to that version of him.
They might.
You know?
I heard that Keanu Reeves actually owns his like digital rights. So like if they put him
Yep.
in a video game or anything, like he has to
Yeah.
get paid. Or I think maybe even if it's just like him as the Matrix
Yeah.
character.
That would be an interesting podcast for us just to like get someone who could talk about that. I don't know how that works, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how you own your digital rights.
I don't
but
know.
that'd be great.
Ask Keanu.
Yeah, for sure. No, I would gobble up Matt's face digital version right now. Then we could, replace him in the future. It'd be
Uh-oh.
great.
There goes my job.
Yeah, I know. It's just
I
it's
feel like I
crazy.
own the
to
digital
think.
rights for you, bro.
Well, like, okay, actually, that was one of the questions I had written down. Was so because you cover so much technology, what do you think some of the biggest technological breakthroughs are of this time, and where do you think they might go in the future?
Yeah.
I know his answer, dude. I already know his answer.
Well, okay. There's like every video I do there's just like one underlying theme. Like if you're in finance, it's just like save and invest in it. You can like get recurring income. Like in tech, for my channel, all I want people to know is that artificial intelligence or machine learning or any of the terms that you've heard for like these cool things that technology is doing now that it didn't before is because they're systems that are not programmed. You don't need like an expert programmer to go in there and say, I need the robot to do like A, B, and C. It's like a brain. I call it like a human brain, but there's a lot of nuances there why that shouldn't be thought of that way. But you have to train it like a human brain. You just have this system. It doesn't know anything about anything. You feed in a bunch of examples, you get a bunch of results, and then you tell it if the result is way off or very close, and then it goes back in and like trains the brain, which is like just like how humans work. And it eventually just does something truly magical. Classify an image, generate an image from text, drive a car. It's like how Tesla is staying in the lane. It knows what's a car, what's a person. We put it in a robot. Who knows what it's going to do in the future? It can like
Terminator.
be barista. Like there's a billion different ways to do it. But just because people haven't thought about training a system like a baby, you have to teach them like how the world works. Like even children as they don't understand how gravity works until they're just born and they're like, oh, everything falls down. Like we forget that we had to learn all this.
Yeah.
But machines are in that phase where we're like, wow, look at them starting to like come to life and solve problems. So yeah, that's just it. Just to know that like machines they have to be taught, they have to learn, and that's how they're starting to like do really, really interesting things. In every industry that I can think of almost will be sort of impacted by it because someone eventually will say, oh, here's something that our industry does. Let's teach it how to do that. Like when you fill out a CAPTCHA, you're like,
Mhm.
and it's like, is this a bus or is this a thing? It's like, oh, that's going right to the car company so that they know when the Tesla is driving down the road if that's a bus or that's a bridge.
Yeah.
And it's just all the little, and when it comes to entertainment and how faces move and what people say and what entertains people, like that's all getting to the point where it's going to get fed in and explained, so just realizing that we can train systems instead of program them.
I'm sure like heard about that Google AI story where like there was like that guy from Google.
Yeah, for sure.
Who
I
was
gotta do a
like,
video on that too.
oh yeah, who was like, I don't
Cold
know if
Fusion
you
did a
video
good video on that.
yeah, I don't really know if you'd call him like a whistleblower or not, but he was basically saying like that Google AI is now like conscious. It's like it's a human.
Yeah.
It's alive.
Well, and
when you read the transcript, it's
and then
eerie.
the transcript is like very eerie. And then
I don't know.
I remember like, okay, so I was like listening. I listened to like 2 different Joe Rogan podcasts on it, and one guest was like very much like, no, I think he's onto something. This is conscious. And then he had Mark Andreessen on, who's a big Silicon Valley like hedge fund investor and like very like tech knowledgeable in tech. And he was saying he didn't think it proved consciousness because he's like, you could kind of convince it to tell you anything you want to hear, which like kind of goes to the tricky. It kind of even goes back to like what we were saying with YouTube, where it's like, is it just telling like doing what you want it to do in a way? Because he's like, if you ask the robot or this AI to be like, prove to me you're conscious, it will. And if you say, prove to me you're not conscious, it will. So,
right. Yeah. like the Google search problem.
Yeah.
Like do I have this disease? There's like 1 million results that say you do and 1 million that don't. It just depends on how you word it. But I do have a thought on that because I agree with Mark Andreessen. Like, I don't think we should worry about it being conscious yet, but I'm glad he is bringing that conversation because I am nervous very soon we'll have a lot of systems that at least internally they feel like they're alive in a sense because they've been trained to have a certain spatial awareness. And one example of this is there's a text to image generator. And in the last month or two, they have done amazing things. You can type in like what you want to see, like 3 people sitting around a table, and it will generate all these just interesting versions of that. And they feel somewhere between photorealistic and painted, and it's only getting better. But one thing that you notice, if you ask for a plate with a fork on it, you'll get an image that looks like a plate with a fork on it. But if you say, can I have a fork with a plate on it? It struggles because it was trained on so many photos of how plates work and how forks sit on top of them that it doesn't quite understand. And that's because it's just seen photos. It uses a process called diffusion to sort of make some noise and then sort of like layer by layer, make it more and more like a photo. And it comes up with something that we see as a photo, but it didn't actually understand, okay, what a fork is in the world. It's not like the machine used a fork. It didn't use a plate. It doesn't understand how they truly work together. So in that sense, I think what Google's AI was doing something probably similar to like GPT-3, which is like a public chat bot. And it does that. It talks to you, but it doesn't think about all these things in its own mind as interacting pieces and then form its opinion. So I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah.
But there's no reason it can't get there one day, and I would worry about it in the long run.
Yeah.
Sounds scary.
I know, because I feel like too with like
Dang,
things
I didn't
like
know you were going to talk about AI on this. This
Yeah.
is
oh
sweet.
yeah,
He's excited now.
I don't know.
Yeah, I was
Honestly,
like-
it's like this is. I had all these questions, but I'm like I was down to just kind of like go with the flow, but I was
Yeah.
like I'll have questions just in case.
I know.
Like
Well, don't let me
can't.
hijack it because I don't want to make it
No,
about
this is
my
like way more
topics,
interesting
but whatever
than
your
any-
audience wants. Yeah.
No, I'd rather just go with the flow.
Okay.
I feel like it's more interesting. But well, let me check how much. But okay, well we should probably wrap it up soon. But what was I gonna say?
We can
oh
talk
yeah,
for 2 more hours.
I know this is so
Don't
cool.
you have a vacation to go on?
Yes.
Where are you going?
Zion Park.
Oh, okay, fun hiking.
Yes.
Nice.
We
Where-
might do Angel's Landing if it's open.
Nice.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt deserves it. We've been in this phase for like 3 months. I don't know when we stop
We've been
working or
working
start
15-hour
working.
days.
We like
Nice.
it's just all day, every day for us, you know?
Yeah.
Just edit all day long.
It's true.
I know editing is like such a I don't know what it is. You know what's kind of funny too? It's like I was just oh no, I talked about this on my solo podcast where it's like, there's something with like sitting on the computer where it's like, I've been thinking about this a lot too with like, you know how in the Industrial Revolution era, like there was that phrase, like the cog in the machine, and you just feel like you're like part of the factory.
Oh,
And
yeah.
sometimes I'm just like, I feel like I don't know if we've ever really like addressed that and move away from it. Cause I feel like now we're just different cogs in a different machine.
Kind of, yeah. TikTok just tells us what to do, and then we go to our Final Cut and just like,
or like, yeah, like editing, you're just like kind of sitting in front of a screen for so long, and it's more draining than I feel like people assume it is, because it's like, I don't know.
It's very draining.
Yeah.
And you're not even doing anything. You're just sitting down.
I don't know what because I saw this funny tweet, and I mentioned it on like my solo podcast where it's like, you know, David Goggins, who's like this.
David Goggins.
Dude, I saw him at the gym one time.
Yeah.
He goes to the same. Never mind. Yeah, he goes to the same gym as David Goggins.
Well, not anymore. Yeah, one
Not
time
anymore.
I saw him there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I saw. So for people who
I was
don't
too
know,
nervous
he's
to say
like
either.
ultra marathon runner. Like really pushes himself to the limit athletically,
Oh, yeah.
and
He's
like.
great.
I love him, and I read his book, so I don't want people to take this the wrong way. But the quote was something like, "Oh, anyone who's played high school sports knows that, like, that could push themselves to the limit like David Goggins, but I'd like to see him sit in front of a computer for 10 hours."
That's true. Like, you need that same, like, you could write a book like, I sat here all day and did that.
I know, and it's funny because, like, a lot of people I talk to who have, like, jobs in, like, sales and marketing and tech and all that, it's like, even if they really like what they do, I hear, like, one of the things they say, it's like, it's really hard to be in front of a computer, like, all day.
Well, one of the reasons why creating AI-based content is so much more fun than being in tech is that there is, like, it is fun to go to the news, see what's happening, read about it, think about it, and then talk about it. Now, the editing part is kind of repetitive, but when I was actually in programming and, like, doing tech, it's like, there's a bug, go look through the lines of code, figure out like what's going on, and then just like fix it. And that rinse and repeat cycle just like burns you down, man.
Sounds
like
boring.
it was not,
Yeah.
it was just not my, like, it would be fun to program, like I have an idea for a little app and like you put it together. That's like creative. And like, that's, if we can make YouTube work, it'll be a dream come true. Cause I would love to not have to go back to that. But
yeah, I think that's like one of the, I guess, like modern struggles of our time is like doing something creative and then like also having to do like the things that are like not fun sometimes that like you kind of like need to do. Yeah, and it's, I don't know. I mean, I've had jobs. I mean, I've never worked as a programmer, but I had jobs that like I would be doing like a lot of like inputs into spreadsheets and stuff pretty much, which like was fine. And like, I mean, podcasting is kind of like what got me through it. Cause like if you put a podcast on, you're like,
actually,
okay.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe we're helping people get through their lives right now.
Honestly, like I don't, and
I'm sorry for you.
No, it's
we're here to entertain you while you do it.
It's like, it's so true. Cause like, and it's funny because like the first time I really started listening to podcasts, I was like just doing a part-time job at my dad's office, and it was like very basic stuff of like I had to like do what's called like purging files, which is like, it sounds super fun.
Files?
Sounds
That sounds, yeah.
Well, it's like, it was a law firm. So it's like, you basically there was like hard copies of files and then there was like everything scanned. Like then it's just taking all the hard copies and scanning them into the computer. And then there's some things that and then anything that you don't really need because it's not like an original document. And it's not, it's not like something super important. It's like, you can just scan it in the computer and then shred it and there's, I don't know, that's purging a file. It's like, but it's like very tedious, just like, it was like literally going through
Turk style,
like, going through like pieces of paper, and if they had an S on the back, like ripping them away. But I just got into podcasts back when I was like, I don't know, 18, 19.
We were just born to be more creative than that. It's just hard. Yeah,
I know. And that's what I'm saying, where it's like, I feel like too, with the Industrial Revolution, I mean, there's a lot of thoughts people have around that too, because it's like we went from this like agricultural society to like this industrial society, and how it was like such a shock to like everyone's system, because it totally changed the way they live life, and it like affected people in ways they didn't realize. Like if they became in some ways like less religious and stuff, and it's like I literally got to the point where people are like, what's the purpose of life even?
What is life?
Because it's like you literally go from like working physical like labor jobs and then you're like in a factory, and then I don't know, there's like that whole kind of like the labor movement had that sort of phrase of like, oh, you're just a cog in a machine, like you're just like and like some ways I'm like, I feel like we thought we addressed that, but maybe we didn't really address it.
Very insightful. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
So I don't know. So on that note, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But, I guess that doesn't mean we can't still be creative. And
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I mean,
yeah.
potentially, especially like
Yeah.
with all this AI that's coming and the way robotics is coming, like there could be a really bright future if we do figure out how to get some of these systems automated, and then people use that time
Yeah.
to do what they want. I mean, I could imagine a world where everybody's a poet and like everybody just hangs out and does the things that happen. But also, I could see this world where we're super oppressed too, and then like half, like some small portion have all the benefit, and everyone else is like stuck. So I don't
I
know.
don't
It's very
know.
unsure of where we're
Yeah.
gonna go.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't know. I guess it's like something we have to kind of do some soul searching on in a way. It doesn't, I mean, or you could be maybe creative and not be necessarily like in the arts. Like,
Yeah. Oh, for
I don't
sure.
know.
For sure. No,
Yeah.
a lot of
Oh, that's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No, I mean,
yeah.
people make like in food. You can be creative in food service, or you can be like just you're a cog in a wheel. It just depends on like how the food's prepared and how the restaurant cares and what the patrons want. So taking that
Yeah.
same thought process to all the other industries, like
Yeah. And I think maybe placing value on like doing jobs that are more either like physically intense or like interacting with people more. Cause I feel like
yeah,
there is something too where it's like, I feel like too, like the times I've worked in hospitality and restaurants, like I almost like enjoy it more in a way. And I'm
oh
like,
yeah,
I feel like it's just
It's more
because
fun.
like it's just an environment that's more like relaxing in a
Yeah.
sense.
So some good
oh yeah.
culture.
Like maybe maybe
Yeah.
it would be like in the future the majority of jobs would just be that human connection. Like just you
Yeah.
go to your neighbor who's just old and lonely and like talk with them, and somehow you can get rewarded for that because the robots are doing all the maintenance work or something.
Yeah.
And that's the one
Totally.
thing they don't want the robot for. Like, yeah, maybe there'll be a lot of, maybe human connection will be like the best way to make money in the future if we build a society
Yeah.
around that, an economy around that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we could definitely take it in a creative direction, hopefully. I mean, I think too, like a lot of times people talk about like automation getting rid of jobs, but sometimes I'm like, I don't know if that's always such a bad thing. Cause like, I mean, does
Mhm.
anyone really like want to be like a fast food worker or something?
Exactly.
So it's like,
You have a job, Matt.
I
You're
don't
good.
know. I mean, I'm
I'm
just
always
using
scared
that
he's
as
going to go back to another job. I'm like, don't leave me. Help me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just using that as like an example, but I
Yeah.
mean, but it's like you said, it's like it just depends because like if it's like something you really enjoy doing, like if you really enjoy cooking, that's not necessarily the same as like being
Yeah.
like like a
Well, with my
Mm.
girlfriend being a magician, I remember being like, oh, it must be so fun being a magician all the time. And it is fun. But most of the time, there's a lot more going on with like marketing and like promoting the show. And then like the show presenting itself is one of the smaller parts of the whole system that makes like a Las Vegas headlining show work,
yeah.
And it's like, but yeah, but together it seems really rewarding for her, and it seems like it's a passion. So it's easy to get over those things, the emails and all that sort of stuff, because at the end of the day, the whole thing is fulfilling.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, I think technology can help people feel more fulfilled. So, I mean, I guess maybe we just have to manifest it. Or
Yeah, just
something.
manifest it.
Just
Yeah.
manifest
Pray
it.
everybody together with one, make it happen.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks so much for joining me today and being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, we
Cool.
appreciate the
It
invite.
was a fun time.
Yeah, I really enjoyed having you on. So, cool. Thanks.
All right. See ya.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Entrepreneur Escape Pod. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Melissa_Rittenhouse, and definitely check out the links in the description to follow the Be Curious channel and all other links.